This original WSRE presentation is made possible by viewers like you. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Rameca Vincent Leary and welcome to this edition of inStudio. We have all probably heard the expression, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is. Countless people are impacted every day by hacking, fraud, and scams. Young or old, we must all strive hard to be alert. Stay with us, we'll have more right after this. Welcome back, everyone. During this edition of inStudio, we'll be exploring resourceful information that will help you spot scams of all shapes, forms, and fashions. Education is essential, and taking preventative measures can mean all the difference. During the show, we'll speak with representatives from the Better Business Bureau while exploring careers in cybersecurity and the wide range of career opportunities. But first, we're going to focus on senior citizens and two local agencies that are working hard to provide services to help prevent them from being preyed upon by scammers. Folks, I'm happy to introduce Josh Newby, Marketing and Communications Director for the Council on Aging of West Florida. He's joined by Judy Ertl, Seniors vs. Crime Region 5 Director. Her husband, Klaus, is a volunteer with the agency and former police officer. Plus, we have Vann Milheim, Escambia County Office Manager. Welcome to all of you.
Thank you.
This is a topic that warrants much discussion, as we know, right, Josh?
That's absolutely right.
Okay, so let's talk about the Council on Aging and how long it's been in existence.
Yeah, Rameca, thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
We've been in existence since 1972, and we were founded with the express purpose of keeping seniors in their home safe, independent, and with dignity for as long as possible.
That's good, and we think of seniors a lot of time. Your agency offers so many services. We'll delve into that shortly, but I'm going to take a little cue from Judy over here, Seniors vs. Crime, because we'd like to find out about your organization that started in 1989.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Oh, you're welcome.
It was started by Attorney General Bob Butterworth, and he saw the influx of seniors coming into Florida. He wanted to find out what was going on with them. And he had them save all the junk mail that we used to get all the time, you know, come down, have a nice meal, and let us take your money. And then what he did is he started outreach, where we would go out and talk to a lot of, you know, organizations. Then he decided we needed a storefront where people could come and talk to peers. And that's how we opened the first office down in Delray Beach.
Wonderful. Now, Josh, let me come back to you. Of course, we know the Council on Aging has so many services, and you were just talking about food. Meals on Wheels is a prevalent thing that a lot of senior citizens have, and that benefit, right?
Yeah, you know, that's probably our most well-known program is Meals on Wheels. It's a nationwide program. Pretty much everyone has heard of it. Essentially, seniors have a hard time receiving nutrition on a sustainable, healthy basis. So what we do is we use volunteers to deliver those meals. We have about 500 Meals on Wheels clients across the two-county, Escambia and Santa Rosa County area. And this is a way for them to receive a wellness check from the volunteer and also nutrition that can sustain them.
Now, adult daycare. Many people can fall prey to scams in that respect. Will you expand on that?
Yeah, adult daycare, for those who don't know, it works just like children's daycare. If someone is suffering with Alzheimer's or dementia, they can come to our adult daycare and we will take care of them from 7:30 to 5:30, Monday through Friday. This is so their caregiver, usually their adult children that they live with, can go to work, can go shopping, can get some respite, but we're able to keep them there. We're able to watch them. If they get any phone calls, right, while they're there, we're able to sort of monitor that and realize if there's a potential scam happening.
Through the caregiver support, is that another means to maybe filter out possible scams?
Yeah, you know, a lot of caregivers are so busy with what they do. They work 40 hours a week. They're taking care of their own children, and then they're having to take care of their parents or grandparents. And sometimes, frankly, they just don't have the time or energy to be aware of all the scams or all the potential fraud that is being enacted against their parents or grandparents. So with caregiver support groups, we not only give them respite, we not only give them a much needed break, we're also able to educate them on the latest and most dangerous scams so they know what to be on the lookout for.
Education is definitely essential. Judy, back to you. So there are senior sleuths, correct? Can you give us a definition of that?
A senior sleuth is a volunteer that works in the office. In fact, we're all considered sleuths no matter what we do. And they work in the office. They deal with the people that come in, and they take all the information. We don't go out of the office. So our sleuthing is within four walls. But we do delve into the problem and then try to solve it.
Klaus, as a volunteer, what kind of training is entailed in this?
It's basically similar to classroom, and
Okay.
It's changed over the years. It used to be some play acting to deal with seniors that have a problem.
Vann, can you maybe give us an example of one scam that you may have run across that has impacted many seniors?
In the local area, I find a lot of seniors very trusting when they have projects being done at their home. And they will make a deal with a handshake, no written contract, hand over all the money up front, sometimes thousands of dollars, and then expect the person to return, and that doesn't always happen.
We know that Hurricane Michael impacted so many senior citizens. Can you tell us pretty much, just give us a little bit more details? So we have a contractor that comes and they want to do some roofing work. They might have that senior citizen pay up front or sign a document, right?
Correct. The document you refer to is called a assignment of benefits. And in in doing that, you have basically relinquished all of your negotiating skills with your insurance company to that contractor and have no involvement in anything that's said or done in repairing your home.
Vann, I know that you have probably seen a lot of this, and have you actually traveled to the areas that were impacted by Hurricane Matthew?
No, not for that purpose. I've traveled through the areas for other
Okay.
business, and I've seen the devastation, but no, not directly. Like Judy said,
Maybe
we're
like
within
Judy has.
four walls.
Within four walls.
Yeah, it's for their safety as much as anything else. That's why we work out of the office. You don't want to have any sleuths going and knocking on doors or anything because you don't know what's on the other side of the door. So it's for their safety.
So Klaus, give me an example of maybe a telephone call that you may receive, a senior citizen who has possibly been scammed. Just an example.
Someone will call up and say, I just gave a roofing contractor $3,000. He said he needed it to go buy shingles, and I've never seen him again.
But we know there are various types of scams that seniors can fall prey to. A lot of them deal with telephone conversations, right, Josh?
You know, even I, as a young person, receive these phone calls. It seems like on a weekly, if not daily, basis. And you know, when you look at the statistics, I mean, they're heartbreaking. It's estimated that 1 in 10 senior citizens will fall victim to some sort of fraud. You know, in the state of Florida, there's an estimated 5 million senior citizens. You do the math on that, 500,000 elder adults in Florida will fall victim to some sort of telephone or robocall fraud. And the average fraud takes advantage of them to an extent of $2,500. I mean, you're talking about seniors who are living on Social Security, on disability. $2,500 is enough to break them, to put them in poverty. It's heartbreaking.
And speaking of robocalls, Judy, there have been many headlines recently, not only robocalls, hacking, and you probably heard of Flim Flam artists, right? That's not something that just happened a few years ago. It's still happening right now to senior citizens. And a lot of times, Klaus, when you have someone call you on the phone through the agency, they're scared and someone's threatening them, saying that, hey, if you don't pay up or you don't do this, maybe we'll harm your children. They feel as if they're pressured, right?
Yes, absolutely. A lot of calls that you and I, well, I'm a senior, but
yes,
a lot of calls that you and I would get and would realize it's not possible, it's phony. A senior, someone that's living alone, has no one else to turn to, is going to probably believe that scammer on the phone, and that's the problem.
So Vann, in Escambia County particularly, I know that you have so many services that you offer. Would you say that you receive maybe hundreds of calls a week? Give me an estimate of how many people you hear from.
Probably 10 calls a week, and of those 10 calls, maybe one will turn into a case, an actual case where we start working the problem. The others, we try and identify another resource that may be better suited towards helping that senior.
All right. Josh, back to you. That's why it's so important to have volunteers, but training is essential. So how do you recruit your volunteers?
Yeah, I mean, you're so right. Education and advocacy is crucial to making this endeavor successful, because, you know, there's just a handful of us here. We can only do so much. But by educating the public and empowering these caregivers, empowering these volunteers to be on the front lines and be on the lookout and know who to call, we're really increasing our impact exponentially. So if anyone is interested, or if anyone has any concerns about how they can be a more equipped volunteer, I'd encourage them to give us a call. I know our number will be on screen. But even with our volunteers, we do a thorough background check, a level 2 background screening. We make sure these individuals are safe and that the people that are interacting with our seniors are competent and should be there.
That's good. Now, Judy, for your organization, I know that the expanse is very vast across the state of Florida, right?
Yeah, we have about 40 offices around the state. There's only 4 in the Panhandle. We have Escambia, Navarre, Crestview, and then Tallahassee. Between Crestview and Tallahassee, there are more animals than there are people, so we don't have anything in between.
That's
It's all
interesting.
farmland.
Okay. Can anyone who is not a senior citizen volunteer and become a sleuth?
Well, we do kind of limit it to like 50 and over. We've had a few exceptions, but they've been pretty close to 50. And we try to do that because then the senior coming into the office is dealing with a peer, and it doesn't look like maybe one of their children age-wise, because they don't want to go to their children.
No, a lot of times they aren't. And as I mentioned to you, Klaus, oftentimes children are used as pawns, as threats from those who are preying on senior citizens. And helping alleviate that fear, is that something that we know it can take time, but have you ever had a case where someone really wasn't able to overcome this?
More often than not, when we get a child involved, it's usually a call from someone saying, or a person saying, I've been arrested, and my lawyer's here, and he's going to tell you. And the lawyer will get on and say, well, I'm in Mexico, your grandson's been arrested, and the older people don't always know where their grandsons are, or their
That's true.
granddaughters. Okay, so they're very gullible to that, to the possibility they're told to send money for bail or whatever, and they never see it again.
Unfortunately, they
Yeah.
may actually do that. All right, hold on where you are. So folks, as we head to break, for more information about the Council on Aging of West Florida, log on to the website www.coawfla.org. Meanwhile, the website for Seniors versus Crime is www.seniorsvscrime.org. Folks, the conversation is just getting started. We'll be back in a moment. Hello, everyone. During this segment, we're continuing our conversation with Josh Newby, Marketing and Communications Director with the Council on Aging of West Florida. Vann Milheim and Judy and Klaus Ertl from Seniors vs. Crime are also back to continue the discussion about helping the elderly in their daily lives while also striving hard to prevent them from falling prey to scammers. Now, in the last segment, we talked about Hurricane Matthew, Josh, but let's talk about Hurricane Michael. All the devastation and damage, right?
Absolutely. And, you know, it's unfortunate that when people are at their lowest, that's when scammers really thrive. Because you have these people, they've just had their homes leveled, their lives destroyed. They're receiving calls from insurance agents and contractors and family members, and they get a call from a number they don't recognize. They pick it up, assuming it's legitimate. Someone asking for insurance information, bank account information, and you know, it's chaotic, and they give them the information, and that's all the scammer needs. And it happens to all of us. And like I said, it's unfortunate that it happens at these people's lowest, but people need to be wary because a tragic event like the hurricane could become even more tragic.
And let's talk about relief efforts for seniors. I know that your agency does quite a bit with that.
Yes, we do. While we only serve Escambia and Santa Rosa counties, we certainly have counterparts over there that are working every day through their volunteers to rebuild these individuals' lives, to make sure that their homes can become safe and comfortable once again, that they can live with independence and dignity, being coordinated through Volunteer Florida and the various state efforts. We're doing everything we can for our elders out there.
So, Judy, relief can come in many shapes, forms, and fashions. Can you give us an idea of some of the forms of relief that seniors can receive as a result of Hurricane Michael?
Yeah, we don't get out with agencies. We work through the office.
Right, you do.
But they do send the complaints to the Attorney General's office, or they call our 800 number, our hotline. And just by being able to talk to them sometimes, it helps. Because there's somebody out there that cares and is willing to listen and not say, oh, you don't have a problem. And that's happened. Where, yeah, they do. And they need that help to get over that bump and get through to whoever it is they're trying to, like the contractor, or get some help at whatever agency is necessary.
There are many free forms of relief, right, Vann?
Yes, there are.
Let's talk about some of those, because sometimes scammers will want seniors to pay for things that they really shouldn't be doing.
There are phone calls that are made for people that buy new automobiles. You may not know this, but when you buy an automobile, that becomes public record. So if somebody, say in the state of Missouri, that runs an additional auto insurance program, you might get a call very quickly on them. And I have had the case where the credit card was charged in full for 5 years, not just a monthly debit, but 7 months of negotiation and discussion with the company. We were able to recover 87% of the client's money. So you just have to be cautious about what you're listening to on the phone, and if you don't understand it, hang up.
Absolutely. So, Klaus, as a former police officer, I know you've probably seen a lot. And when it comes to helping seniors avoid scams, it can be a little difficult sometimes, right? Because identity theft is a huge problem nationwide, globally, that is.
Yeah, Judy does a lot of programs where she goes out and speaks to seniors and educates them on what's going on, what the latest scams are. And a lot of times it's a simple thing about which card to use when you make a purchase, things that protect you. And hopefully when we do these outreach programs and talk to people, they will pass it on to their friends or people that have a problem. They get back to us.
And working with police agencies, simple things such as filing a police report. Seniors need to be aware of that.
We do not really get involved in police work. Anything that becomes police oriented, we refer to the agency. We might help them fill things out, but we don't get involved in that part of the investigation. We deal primarily in civil matters.
Absolutely. And Judy, knowledge is essential because, as I stated, what should a senior do? Identity theft. Some don't even realize that maybe they should do this or that. For example, filing a police report.
For identity theft to be able to get enough help in recovering your identity, you need to file a police report. That's one of the first things you have to do.
Absolutely.
And then just so that it's been turned into more of a criminal side of it. Recovering your identity from it can take years. People don't realize that.
No, a lot of times they don't.
And for seniors, that's extremely stressful. It'd be stressful to anybody, but for them it's an added burden.
Quite unnerving. Josh, let's talk about credit cards. Some seniors are very frugal. Sometimes they'll have a card, sometimes they may not. But a lot of times they'll say, okay, I'm going to give my card to my grandson, Johnny. Let him go to this store and purchase a few things, and maybe he'll pass it on to another friend. Why is it so important for seniors to be cognizant of this and being alert?
Yeah, I'm sure your grandson Johnny is great. I'm sure he means
He's a
the
great
world
guy.
to you. But that is one of the main areas that we see fraud perpetrate is through family, often unintentionally, right? Johnny might go to the mall, buy some things, might give it to a friend to go pick up some pizza from the food court, and before you know it, that card is getting passed around. It falls into the wrong hands, and they have that card number, they have that 3-digit code on the back, maybe it gets scanned at a skimmer,
Right.
And that's all it takes. And the charges may not show up for months after that. And it may be difficult to trace back to when the occurrence actually happened. But yeah, keep your credit card close to you and be wary of who you lend it to.
Check your banking statements, right, Van? I do that regularly. Once upon a time, I went to a pizza location to purchase a pie. Now, the person behind the counter was telling me about her financial issues. About an hour after I left the pizzeria, I had several large charges, one for a computer, on my card. But the thing about it is I always check my statement regularly. Do this daily, people. Can't tell you enough, right, Van?
Absolutely. And your banks, a lot of banks will know the pattern of your purchases, and if a purchase is made outside of a pattern, like I've gotten a call that said, "Are you over in Scotland right now?" And it's like, well, no, I'm not. Okay, well, we got a charge for $800, and I've actually had that happen. So a good bank, good credit service, they're going to monitor your activities, and if they see something that's not right, they should be contacting you.
Judy, a lot of times credit card companies and banks will advise their customers to call and let them know when they're going to be traveling.
Yes, because what can happen there, and you need to know that you are calling the right number of your actual credit card company or whoever. Because if you don't and you happen to travel out of the area, they will freeze your card. We had it happen after Ivan.
Happened to me.
Yeah.
Probably happened to everybody around the
Yeah,
table
they
here.
freeze the card and you're standing there at the register with this generator and you're going, oh boy. So you have to call the number on the back of the card and tell them you are where they think you are, where they don't think you are, and then they'll unfreeze the card and you can go ahead. But it is important because that will put them on alert that if they really see something strange, well, yeah, no, they called and they said they were going to be in these different countries, and it's important to tell them if you're going to be in several different places.
Exactly. Klaus, you're at the gas pump and your card does not work. That can be frustrating, but I am so glad that many of these credit card companies and banks have these alerts for their customers. Now, Josh, let's get back to you. Coming of Age magazine is an awesome publication
Thank
that
you.
the Council on Aging of West Florida puts out. Talk about that.
Yeah, we've been putting out the Coming of Age magazine through our partners at Ballinger Publishing for almost 15 years now. It's a great resource. It's distributed to between 14 and 16,000 seniors in the two-county area. The subscription is free. If you're interested in subscribing, you can just give us a call. We always have a either national or local celebrity interview on there. We have information ranging from health and law to sexuality, financial security, anything that might impact our elders. And I encourage them to check it out.
Now, on the flip side, coming of age television, do you play a role with that?
I do.
Are you the host?
I am indeed. So it's nice to be on this side of the hosting responsibilities. But yeah, our partners at Blab TV, they're very generous to us. Baptist Healthcare is a big sponsor of ours. But by the same token, we have a show every month. Features topics on healthcare, law, etc. And I encourage people to check that out Wednesdays at 4 p.m.
And we touched on volunteerism lightly, Judy and Josh, and I know that it's so important for people to think beyond themselves in that respect. Sometimes, Klaus, people might say, I have a busy schedule, I don't have any time. When will I make time to help someone else? We can always do that, right, Vann?
Absolutely.
Why is it so important?
For me personally, it was having retired, I knew I had multiple skill sets that could be useful, particularly customer service where you're interacting with people. And I wanted to get out there and I wanted to help in some way, shape, or form. And I answered an ad that was in the local newspaper and Judy hired me.
All right, and the rest is history.
Yes.
So, Klaus, I know that you're married to this lovely lady right here. What inspires you, besides Judy probably, to become a volunteer?
You got it.
I got it. I nailed it right on the head. But aside from that, probably some of the horrific stories that you have heard.
Things that I had experienced in law enforcement that things I couldn't do anything about as a law enforcement officer because they were civil in nature, and they are easier to deal with through Seniors versus Crime to try and help people get their money back.
That is amazing. You worked so many cases in Senior Sleuths. You'll probably have more as a result of this broadcast.
We're always looking for volunteers.
I know that you are. Josh, some final words for those that may be interested in volunteering.
Yeah, we encourage it. We have between 600 and 700 volunteers right now. If you want to deliver Meals on Wheels, if you want to build wheelchair ramps, if you want to help host events, no matter what you like doing, we have a volunteer opportunity for you. Give us a call. We'll get you onboarded really quickly. It's really rewarding.
I know that it is. Many thanks to all of you. I know that I learned a lot as well. All right, folks. During our next segment, we'll explore the many ways the Better Business Bureau is identifying a wide range of scams while providing a means to report them. We'll be back right after this.
Thank you to everyone who came out and made WSRE's annual Be My Neighbor Day such a terrific success.
We're back. During this segment, we're shifting our focus to the vast array of targets scammers prey upon, including ways to report these schemes. Plus, cybersecurity threats are real, and Pensacola State College has course offerings that can help prepare people for in-demand careers in the field. I'm happy to introduce Tammy Ward, Communications Director for the Better Business Bureau of Northwest Florida. She's joined by Karin Carter, an instructor with the cybersecurity program at Pensacola State College. Tammy, let's start with you. Please give us a snapshot of the origins of the Better Business Bureau? Those early days, right?
The early days. We're over 100 years old. We actually got started because there was some information about a possible ad problem, and from there we have multiple things that we take care of now. Locally, we've been around since 1985.
Okay.
We service the Northwest Florida area, 14 counties here in the Panhandle. We are a nonprofit organization. We don't get any kind of supplement from the government. We are actually funded by businesses that believe that ethics in the marketplace still matter.
That is awesome. I'll get back to you
Okay.
in just a moment. So, Karin, cybersecurity. That word has a lot of meaning behind it.
It sure
Lots
does.
of force, action, right? And you're an instructor at Pensacola State College. When did you begin teaching?
I have been teaching there about 3.5 years now.
And this program is just booming, right?
It is.
So the Bachelor of Applied Science in Cybersecurity, first of all, there aren't enough jobs out there for people to fill them.
No, there are not.
So let's talk about the program.
Well, the program, there's two concentrations.
Okay.
There is the information security concentration, and you have the cyber forensics concentration. The information security concentration is centered around the 8 fundamental domains of the ISC squared CISSP certification. It's a highly sought after certification for individuals that are in cybersecurity. So the courses that are offered help the student prepare for that exam after they graduate, and that will help
Good.
them get a job.
Now, the Associate in Science, so does that lead into the bachelor's degree?
Yes, it does.
And how are they linked?
It does. In cybersecurity, a lot of the courses overlap, so they get the same topics throughout
Okay, so
the
they're learning
program.
progressively.
Yes, yes, and it helps to reiterate what they're learning. But that's how it is in the real world too.
Absolutely. We'll get to more specifics shortly. Now, Tammy, we have a lot to cover, okay? Lots of
Yes.
scams, hacking, fraud. Let's focus first on the top 5 legitimate organizations that are used for impersonation, and at the top of the list is the Internal Revenue Service.
Of course, there have been just so many people that think that they've gotten the IRS calling them that they owe money. And of course, we've been saying a long time that the IRS would never call you. So the people that are actually scamming, calling and saying they're from the IRS, with the spoofing mechanisms that they have now, even your caller ID could have a 202 number or the IRS come up on the caller ID. But we have educated a lot of people now, so they will actually tell the person, oh, I know that you're not calling from the IRS because you would send me something in the mail. And the scammers can come right back and say, well, we sent you something in the mail, and since we didn't hear from you, that's why we're now calling you.
But they could come back and say, well, I never received it, so I know you're a scammer, right? U.S.
Yes.
government, the government.
Any kind, but we did see a very huge uptick this year, especially before April 15th, because now that a lot of people know that the IRS would not call them, they're calling now and saying that they're calling from the Social Security Administration and something's happened with their Social Security number. What they're doing is those numbers that they can get, along with the data breaches and the dark web where they've gotten other people's information, if they only need that Social Security number, they could actually apply for those people and turn in their IRS information and try to get their refunds back for them or in place of the actual people.
Now, ladies, people love money, right? Publishers Clearinghouse, Tammy, is another
the
one.
sweepstakes. That is a really big one. I mean, they'll call, and you were talking about the seniors earlier. They'll call and tell someone that they've won $3.5 million in a Mercedes, and all they have to do is send $50, and that's a processing fee. Some people actually will send it in.
Some will.
There's a possibility, especially with the seniors, because most of them are on fixed incomes. They want to leave their families better off than they were actually, when they were in the in the workplace, and so they'll believe them.
They will. Now, Microsoft and Apple are the last two on that top 5 list.
Yes.
And with cybersecurity issues in the realm, so to speak, have you heard any specific stories, Karin, that you can share as an instructor or just in general about maybe hacking schemes dealing with large entities?
Well, the majority of them that you hear about are in the news.
Yes.
For
many
instance, Target. The big one that happened not too long ago was the OPM data breach. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Expand on that, please.
OPM is the Office of Personnel Management, and they hold all the clearances for government employees, and they got hacked. It went up, to the congressional level.
Right. Military.
Yes,
It impacted all of that.
If you had a top secret clearance, I mean, they just go through your background the last 10 years, and it has all your family information in it, personal, PII.
Personal,
right.
PII.
Devastating.
Yes, the adversaries got a lot of it. It was big, and when they had the hearing, it was found that they had no risk management in place whatsoever. And that's one of the courses we teach.
All right. Speaking of which, that course, we know you have a lot of students enrolled here at PSC. Would you like to tell us some of the other courses that you teach in the program? Or maybe
I teach laws and legal aspects in information technology, ethics in information technology. We also have hands-on courses, security testing, which is akin to white hat hacking.
Okay.
We also have digital forensics.
What is white hat?
A white hat hacker.
hacker.
I know.
Say that
3 times.
Yeah, exactly.
Is somebody that will go in and do a penetration test on a system that they know about.
Okay.
A black hat hacker is somebody like the adversaries that try and get in and they know nothing about the system.
All right. More information coming from you shortly. So let's talk about the top means of contact these scammers will try. Websites, social media, and then calling you on the phone.
Yes. With the modern technology that we have these days, more people in the younger generations are losing money than the seniors because they're doing it by the computer. And the social media, if you go on social media these days and you look, especially on a couple where you have the feeds that come in the middle of your page, if you look really closely, you may think that it's coming from your friends, but there's a lot that are sponsored. And unfortunately, social media has not done 100%. They're not able to make sure that they're legitimate businesses that are advertising on those pages. So if you click on there, you could be going to other sites that are not secure, or you may be giving them information that you don't want to be giving them.
A lot of credit card companies will use their websites, the social media to alert you of issues regarding your account. And if you don't contact them right away, your account will be locked.
Yeah, not really.
Not really.
Let's talk about copying and pasting logos and different things into an email. You really want to be careful when you receive an email, even if you think that it's coming from your particular financial institution, because if you look at the return address, you're going to see something that is totally not from your bank. And your bank has other ways that they will securely contact you. But if you do receive an email like this, I received one that my mortgage company had a different mailing address for my payments. I didn't even believe that one. No. I looked up my mortgage information on something separate than the email, found the phone number, and called them. And yes, it was true. But after almost 4 years at the Better Business Bureau, I will check and double check and triple check.
I know that you will. Let's talk about phishing, okay? Karin, that can be a big issue also for colleges and universities, other entities as well, receiving correspondence, employees, emails, urgent emails to contact someone or to fill out a survey or to click on a link. Let's talk about that.
Well, user awareness training is what needs to happen in that case. And with the group that was in here before, with the elderly, they're the ones that fall for those the majority of the time, and that's unfortunate. But yes, user awareness is really the only thing.
And businesses have to look about that too.
Right.
If you've got an accountant, we've had several instances where their supposed boss has emailed them, especially right before tax season, and say, you know, please send me all the W-2s so I can review them. And they don't even double check that. And we've had businesses that have sent W-2s to scammers, and they have been able to actually file on behalf of a lot of those employees and open credit cards in their name.
And the emails used to, you used to be able to recognize them as scams. Well, they're getting really good at them. They look legitimate.
Oh, yes, they do. I got one from my boss allegedly the other day saying, urgent, I need your help. And so I contacted her and she said, phishing, phishing, phishing. Ignore that altogether. So we are grateful for the correspondence that we receive regarding those things. But as you stated, it can be very hard to detect these
Nowadays,
things.
yes.
Nowadays, it can. Let's talk quickly about employment scams. You already talked about the W-2 issue, but a lot of times, if we're not careful, we can definitely get looped into a scenario where we're giving up a credit card number or other personal information, a social security number.
Right, and the employment scam has a lot to do with the websites now where you can put your resume. And think about what you could possibly be on your resume, your home area, where you went to school. Those are the types of things that you might possibly use as your password on things. And also, the employment scam, they will tell you that you've gotten a job, and they want your personal information so that they can set up like your banking account to get direct deposit for your job. That's another one.
All right, be alert, right, ladies?
Yes.
Okay, folks, to find out more about cybersecurity course offerings at Pensacola State College, log on to www.pensacolaState.edu. We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. We're continuing our discussion regarding the various scams that are prevalent in our society, including Pensacola State College educational course offerings that deal with cybersecurity. I'm happy to welcome back Tammy Ward, Communications Director for the Better Business Bureau of Northwest Florida. We also have Karin Carter, an instructor in the cybersecurity program at Pensacola State College. Karin, let's start with you. I am so grateful that you're here to educate people about the in-demand career tracks in cybersecurity. I caught wind of an executive order. That's pretty interesting.
Yes,
Let's
ma'am.
chat.
It was just signed on May 2nd. The White House released it, and it is in a new executive order on the America's cybersecurity workforce. This executive order is going to implement new programs that are going to help grow and strengthen our cybersecurity workforce for the nation.
Good news.
Yes.
That is awesome
Yes.
news. And I know you're happy to hear that, right, Tammy?
Yes.
Now, there are some very risky scams out there from military personnel. Let's
It
talk
is.
about that.
Military are actually twice as likely than their civilian counterparts to be caught up in a scam. And when I go out and give my presentations to the military, I let them know, be careful of your social media. Because what a lot of scammers like to do is take their pictures of them in their uniforms and create their own, say, Facebook pages or
Okay.
Instagram pages. And then they actually hook some people in, because you have a lot of information on those pages, that if you're married or single or that kind of thing, and your age and whatnot, and they're very susceptible to have their pictures stolen. And there are some instances where they'll actually use the real person's name, and that can be really scary, especially if they get into things that are not so simple as just like a romance scam, which I think we're going to talk about too.
So some of these military scams deal with employment, home improvement, and even online purchases.
Yes. Online purchases, actually on May 13th, BBB released a study that we did on online purchases, and that's having to deal with websites that look like they're real websites, but you can have a number or a letter that's different from the actual website, and that scammer can create a whole new website and get all of your information, and you think you're ordering something and you never receive it, and your credit card bill is charged. The other thing with online scams is you may get something that looks like it's the real thing, but it's a counterfeit. There's a
So
lot
much
of
of
things
that.
going on. So BBB is actually doing a lot of different studies, and that was one of them, the counterpart. And then we had a couple other ones that I think we're going to talk about too.
All right, so Karin, the National Initiative for Cyber Education, that sounds so exciting.
It is. It's the NICE framework, and this executive order is encouraging widespread adoption of this framework. And what it is, and I hand it out to all my students.
That's good.
It lets, because the civilian sector, let's say somebody needs to hire a cybersecurity specialist, they don't know what they need to look for in a resume. This document gives them that. And it helps the students too, because there's so many different areas in cybersecurity that you can go into, and this lists those. But it has the keywords in it that the employers need to look for in the people that they're
Right,
trying
as
to
they
hire.
seek out employees.
Right. On the flip side, I tell my students, you could use that document to put those keywords into your resume.
That's right.
And they know what kind of concentration they want to be in. They can choose.
Exactly, exactly. And they can start in one and move into another.
Right.
But there are many different areas they can go into.
And businesses are still kind of new in this whole cybersecurity thing, so it helps them realize who they actually need in their
Exactly,
business.
and what they need.
All right, so let's talk, Tammy, about pet scams. Our little fur babies.
Yes. There are a lot of people that, for some reason, there's so many local places, local shelters that they can adopt, but they go on the website, they do a lot of research, but again, there's fake websites out there, and they think that they're getting, a purebred of some sort. But if you're going to pay not even half the cost of what you think you should pay, and you should do your research about that too, as far as what purebreds are, then you're probably, the too good to be true.
Oh, it probably is.
It is, and then you'll get situations where, okay, well, we need money for them to travel, to fly by plane, or if they do give them money, then they'll contact them again and say, oh, well, something's happened and we need food and this, that, and that. It'll just go on and on. The more that the victim will pay into it, people can be out $5,000 more on the puppy scam, and it's not just puppies. We just called it puppy scam. It's any kind of animal.
Any kind of animal.
Exactly.
Are there adopt-a-pet scams? heard of that?
Adopted pets, well, that's basically what they're doing in a way. And again, you know, it's via website or social media, and they put something out there. Again, they could take real life pictures that are on the website and change it and say that it's, you know, this particular thing.
And it's not.
It isn't. No. And the animal probably, in 9 times out of 10, it doesn't even exist.
That's awful.
Oh my, I've never heard of that.
And that's the enlightenment. I've never being enlightened.
I've never heard of that.
Karin, you have an exceptional student success story, and I can see that big smile on
I
your face. You're ready to share it, aren't you?
I'm not going to mention any names, but he is a massage therapist by trade.
Okay.
He has taken it upon himself to get his bachelor's degree, and he's getting it in cybersecurity.
That's wonderful.
His interest lies in penetration testing. Well, we had a guest speaker at our Cyber Defense Club, which Pensacola State has.
Yes, we do.
And I introduced this student to the guest speaker, and he now has an internship at Eglin Air Force Base this summer.
Wonderful.
They're getting him his secret clearance, and he received one of the highest penetration testing certifications that you can get. In fact, the people that work there that do penetration testing, they have to get that certification, and most times they don't pass it on the first try.
Well, what is that for
he
the viewers
did.
that may not know what that is?
Right. Well, there's career certifications out
Okay.
there. His was the OSCP. Don't ask me what that stands for.
Okay. But in a nutshell.
But anyway, he is
that's
probably, after he graduates, is going to end up with a job.
That sounds spectacular. Love hearing great news.
And it'll be great on the resume, too.
It sure
Oh,
would.
yes.
Now, a lot of times people get duped in the romance department. We have
Yes.
romance scams,
Yes,
don't
we do. You know, it's really sad that somebody will think that someone is in love with them or that they fall in love with someone and they've never met them. Lots of times they haven't even talked on the phone. It's only been by computer. And sooner or later, that person's going to ask for money, either to come visit them or somebody is sick in their family, and they're going to ask them to wire money to them. They've never met this person. There have been instances where someone has said that they've been in love with this person for 7 years and they've never, ever met them.
And it might not even be that person. It could.
No. Lots
could
of
be
times it is not
That's
that person.
right.
Sometimes if it's a man trying to get a female, or it could be a female to a female, and they're impersonating. If you never talk to them on the phone, you never see them in person. You know, we have technology today where you can actually see someone through the computer. They always have an excuse when that person asks, but that person doesn't ask enough because they are hooked already and they think that they're in love.
So sad.
Very.
Let's talk about money. Sometimes people think it takes money to get that date, right? Advance fee loan tips. Think about those interest rates too.
Right. Actually, I received 2 phone calls on my cell phone today, and I didn't answer them because they were not local.
Okay.
I use the phone for work, so I do answer a lot of my local phone calls. But basically, it was a robocall, and they were saying, "Please call us. You know, we have this, we have that." We actually did an investigation just a couple weeks ago because there was they were using a local address in Fort Walton Beach, and they said that they had a business there. And the document that they sent the lady, they weren't asking for money up front, but when they transferred the money that they told her that she could loan out, or that they would loan to her, they needed her banking account information because the only way they could transfer it was electronically.
Quite suspicious,
Yes.
right? Karin, what has been one of your most rewarding experiences as an instructor?
I would say seeing the students get opportunities, like the student I just talked to you about. I love hearing their success stories. I teach Security Plus, and that is also a career certification they can get. I love it when they send me an email and said, Miss Carter, I took the test and I passed. And thank you because you helped me pass that test.
And I was looking over the number of certifications. There are a lot out there.
There are a lot. The program that we have, you can get certifications out of the courses that you take. And they also help you prepare for the industry standard certifications. But the certifications they get from the classes are definitely a benefit. They put them on their resume and it shows that they know the material.
They're on the right track.
They are on the right track.
Tammy, let's talk about Scam Tracker. If you have a problem, you can do that, right? You can report it.
Yes, we have it. It's a website that we put up in about 2015. I think we are over 135,000 scams in the U.S. and Mexico, or U.S. and Canada. An individual, no matter if they got a phone call, an email, whether or not they've lost money, they're a victim because someone is trying to take advantage of them. So they can actually go on and report this, give us all the information. If they're willing to talk to the media, they are allowed, they have a place that they can do that. And it's some place where they can actually give their story, because sometimes the police or the sheriffs can't help them because it's not something that's in their realm. So they can call us or they can go on that website and they can report it.
And investment tips are a big issue, aren't they? High pressure sales tactics.
Yes, there are some people out there that they are high pressure and they're legitimate, but many times, I mean, you're looking at Ponzi schemes basically when you're doing that. And so, you know, you want to take somebody that you trust, but you also want to do your homework and not just take face value when someone tells you something.
No, do your research. It is so important, ladies, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Very important.
And I know helping people is something that both of you do each and every day. We definitely want to thank you for your service, and it's been such a pleasure.
Thank you for
having
having us.
you on
Yes,
the
thank you for
program.
inviting us.
Thank you. Now, folks, as we close the show, we want to thank all of our guests for joining us. During this edition of In Studio, we explored a wealth of information pertaining to hacking, fraud, and scams. It's so important for everyone to be alert. I'm Rameca Vincent Leary. Have a good evening. And remember to keep it locked in right here on WSRE, PBS for the Gulf Coast.